strange things are happening in the nation of Zimbabwe. Remember the recent Bulawayo Thanksgiving, we would see a launch of a very controversial worship song. Now, this is not necessarily a Christian song, but it's a personalized song coming from the church of Prophet Wutatunashe there. Now, this is Prophet Wutatunashe in 1990, before he would begin to be seen in ZANU-PF programs. Then that would be after. Side by side. Just check the massive difference. Now, when we see him saying things like this, we see him recently in the month of July saying that there is no hunger in the nation of Zimbabwe. We would see him here. Zimbabwe is not hungry. Apostle Wutatunashe. Now we see him.
Second Republic, Matisha Misa. 7 years in Matisha Misa.
It seems the Bible is still doing its work. Remember, during the colonial era, the Bible would be used. The gospel would be used to pacify the masses. To those watching us live, can you confirm if you can hear the audio there? Enough respect to everybody who's watching us live. To those watching us live, you can write your comments in the top chat or in the super chat. That's how I can get your name so I can give my shout out.
Sheka 2030 muchasha misa. Weda 2030 muchasha misa. One more time.
Now this is a very controversial song there, coming from Prophet Wutatunashe.
Sheka 2030 muchasha misa. Weda 2030 muchasha misa.
All right, you will speak on this. Before we go there, I would ask a question. Is this a prophecy, or you will just be speaking prophetically? There is a difference between a prophecy and speaking prophetically. Now, we've seen an image before he would be working with ZANU-PF, and the after showing on the screen there. Since when did Apostle Wutatunashe, or now called Prophet Wutatunashe, at one point he would be called Reverend, how deep is his ties with the ruling parties and PF? So he is the one who would pioneer the idea of things that we now call pastors for ED. Wutatunashe, a prominent Zimbabwean religious leader and founder of Family of God Church. He has been closely associated with ZANU-PF and its various initiatives over the years. His involvement reflects a significant timeline of church and political engagement in Zimbabwe, particularly in relation to ZANU-PF. Now we're seeing things escalating to this extent. It means something is happening. Something is about to happen. In today's news day, we see this one here. ED 2030 push a recipe for disaster. Then we would see a video by 𝓟𝓻𝓸𝓹𝓪𝓰𝓪 speaking, calling for Zimbabwe President Emmerson Mnangagwa impeachment. All this is happening at this time. Now, we saw the Minister of Information endorsing ED 2030. Remember, he speaks for the government. Now, in 1980, Wutatunashe founded the Family of God Church after leading revival meeting in Zimbabwe. His church quickly gained a following and became influential in the religious landscape in the country. In the year 2000, he established the Faith for Nation campaign, claiming divine guidance to unite Christians on national issues. The campaign has been criticized for aligning closely with ZANU-PF ideologies and stifling open public debate. That will be in the year 2000. In the year 2000, things were still good in Zimbabwe. It was the new millennium. Those days, a $1 coin could still buy. A 50-cent coin could still buy. Remember, there's actually dollar coins that are made in the year 2000 and in the year 1999 again, with 1 cent coins that were made in 1999. So the year 2000, he begins Faith for the Nation campaign. In 2007, Wutatunashe's wife is listed as a beneficiary of the 𝓚𝓸𝓸𝓪 farm mechanization scheme. It was part of the land reform or fast-track land reform program. Now the farm mechanization program, you'll be given money to buy equipment. So his wife is mentioned as part of the list of those of the beneficiaries. In 2019, as chairman of Zimbabwe Indigenous Interdenominational Council of Churches, ZIICC, he publicly appealed to Zimbabwe President Emmerson Mnangagwa for support for local churches, requesting infrastructure and funding similar to that received by missionary churches. He would request for funding. Now check that before and after image. He is a guy who is eating big money. In 2021, Wutatunashe led a delegation of religious leaders to advocate for lifting of sanctions against Zimbabwe. We see him present a document to then Pope in the year 2021. In the year 2024 now, we are seeing him in a notable shift. He publicly declares that there is no hunger in Zimbabwe. He will do that in July during a prayer meeting. This statement aligned with the ZANU-PF narrative, and he would make this statement at a SADC function, at a SADC event. Now we're seeing him publicly endorsing the president of Zimbabwe, the president of ZANU-PF, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa. We're seeing him endorsing him publicly. to the extent of making a song. We thought this stuff was done by my apostle for ED only, but we are now seeing my prophet for ED.
Baburu wayo matishamisa. Second Republic matishamisa.
Big up to 𝓟𝓻𝓸𝓹𝓪𝓰 Malamela watching us live there.
Yes, matishamisa. Osheka 2030 muchashamisa. Weta 2030 muchashamisa. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Wait for this one now.
Second dispensation. Hallelujah. Let us bow our heads before the Lord.
And ED would
Each one
smile
of
there.
us, just humbly put your left hand over your heart. That's your spirit. Damaged by sin. That's where Jesus wants to live. When you invite him back again. Let's lift up our right hands to the Lord. Close our eyes and just think of him alone. Take my words, make them your words to the Lord. Aloud. Let's say together, dear God, I come to you today. I want the Spirit that lifts up my people and encourages them in the land you gave us. I want the spirit of Caleb and Joshua. And I want to stand in the nation which you have given us and to do my part to build it to be a heaven for the future. I can't do it if my heart is not helped by you.
You see all those guys are praying along with their hands up.
Sin and wickednesses. And today,
so we see him there,
that lifts up
engage in a prayer there. Then
to you.
We have confidence that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us, and that he shall grant our requests. This is 1 John chapter 5, verse 14 and 15. As such, we enter his gates with thanksgiving. His cause.
all right,
We
apologies
have
there.
confidence that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us, and that he shall grant our requests. This is 1 John chapter 5, verse 14 and 15. As such, we enter his gates with thanksgiving, his cause with praise, and we bless his name. The Lord is good. His mercy endures forever. His faithfulness lasts from generation to generation. Psalms 100 verse 4 and 5.
So in this speech, we see Zimbabwe President ED making a lot of Bible quotes. He doesn't usually do this in his usual messages. Yesterday we would have seen this.
weri kushandwa zvakanaka uye muranda runo wakapiwa kuti atitungamirire akatipa chinangwa chinovision 2030 Emerson Mnangagwa. Mweya wake wangofanana nawana Joshua nawana Caleb. Ngative nomweya iwoyo tishande nesimba tisarevera vanhu nhema. Ndinofara kuti iswe church nokungana kwatinoita napresident tichidai tinowanawo chance yokuisa nzwi rechokwadi zvinofungwa mumweya yavanhu veZimbabwe pamusoro pezviri kuitika, Your Excellency. Nokuti ndaitaura nezuro kutiudza vamwe kuti vamwe vanhu vanongotaura vari mumasocial media vachiti Zimbabwe yakaparara, kune zhara, kune zvakati.
So we see this one yesterday. Now, for perspective to open our minds on the situation that is happening in Zimbabwe, why are things the way they are in Zimbabwe? We would see a video. This video will disturb you. This is an initiative being made by a member of parliament in parliament. It's straight up on point. But what happens to such initiatives like this?
Parungoita sekuti transaction iri kubva kuna maina ichienda kuna bhaya vachingopedzerana vakadaro hurumende isina chainodi chainowana.
Honorable, moda kuti zvidi musabvunza minister.
All right. Listen to the question. Moda kuti zvidi. What is he talking about? It's passive aggression. Moda kuti zvidi is not rude, but it's rude. It's only said when one is being rude.
Ndokwanda kwenda zvatiri kufunga kuti zvingaitwa apa chairman chokutanga ndiri kusuggesta kuti coal nechrome maminerals iwawo ngarizevhewo kuma locals. Why? Because machaina aakumaina ndo vari kunoishandisa, saka hapasina kujeka pakati kubva kwako ari kuchera, because ari kuchera muchina ari kuitransporta muchina ari kuishandisa muchina, saka paita dambudziko apa chairman pada kuti pagadziriswe chrome iri kuchegwa namachina vari kuchera kubva mese munana Shurugumu vochera vese munana Mutorashanga ichienda kuAfroshin inenge itagwa namatrucks akanzi Afroshin iri kuprocessa iAfroshin, saka pakajeka here apa? Hapana kujeka. Same applies to coal. Coal iri kuita over $300 per ton. Coal inongoda excavator, tipper, maybe ne front end loader kuti itogwe. Zvinhu zvokuti mayouth edu ari kuchema mari, madzimai edu ari kuchema mari vakafuma macooperative vanongonochera open cast mining haidhuri. Ko tadirei kuti maforeigners auye achidominata pacoal.
So he is bringing a brilliant point talking about coal mining, which is open cast mining. Coal doesn't need purification. Why not reserve that for our locals? Coal yakatengeswa kudhara kuIndia nekuChina. We don't have room for such initiatives. Who knows company yekuChina iyoyo kuti haisi yemuZimbabwe here anenge akaemploya maChinese ake.
Edu yemahara yatinongochera mahara tadire kudaro. Saka Mr. Chairman ndosana chikumbira time muri kunzwa vanhu vari kuona kuti zvatiri kutaura zviri kumeka sense. Ndosana chikumbira time. Saka Mr. Chairman pane zvakawanda zvatinoda kuti taure panyaya yezvicherwa zvedu.
If we would be having such ideas being pushed, Zimbabwe would be somewhere.
Vanga vachitaura Senator Hungwe nyaya yehama dzedu dzekuEast, vanhu ava ukaona posvika palevel rokuti vanosvika pakuchera zvicherwa zvedu vasina even an all removal permit radova dambudziko. Ndine example yekuconstituency kwangu vakauya vakachera ko takazotobata vatakura over 20 loads kunana Mandize kunana ni kwese uko vasina even all removal permit zviri pamutemo. Saka mukaona kuti ukopo huri kuitika pamigwagwa yedu iri kufa, isu senyika techa tiri kubenefita. Saka taida kuti nyaya dzakadaro dziongorogwe. maChina ngaambomira kuchera ko yedu, ngaamire kuchera chrome yedu, ngaticherei zvichekwa zvedu. Gold, minerals, these are non-renewable resources dzokuti tikata vana vedu vanosara vasina nhaka mangwana. Ndoda kucontributa zvekaparungoita so.
Iri ndio vhangeri raMwari rikutaurwa nemurume uyu, not kubuda chiti Mwari akanaka without any substance.
The black community will tell you they live better under Smith than under Mnngagwa.
This dude didn't come out with no creepy, freaky statements.
They were brainwashed by a communist propaganda machine into believing that things were going to improve.
What you on, bro?
But sadly, they were taken for a ride.
That is Ian Smith, former president of Rhodesia. Ian Smith would lead Rhodesia for 9 years. 9 years. So I don't know about his racism, but I would watch his videos at a time period just before independence. He was very supportive of Africans willing to work with them. So we see Peter Walls becomes the first general of the Zimbabwe Republic Army following independence in 1980. He would resign 2 years later in 1982, and Solomon Mjuru would take over from him.
The black community will tell you they live better under Smith than under Mnngagwa.
This dude didn't come out with no creepy, freaky statements.
They were brainwashed by a communist propaganda machine into believing that things were going to improve.
What do you want?
Take note, brainwashed by communist propaganda machine. It does do happen. In a recent video where we see Christopher Mnangagwa speaking for 1 hour, he speaks on the deeper political ideology of ZANU-PF. So his message is not really cryptic, but it would need to explain such that it can be understandable from a certain perspective or from an everyday perspective. Enough respect to Lilina Maungara and Maxwell Mavi watching us live there. Okay, my screen is small, I can't really see. I'm wearing shades for eye contact. Aileen Maugara, Maxwell Mavi, Pilakashe, Malamela. Enough respect to everybody who's watching us live. To those watching us live, you can write your comments in the top chat or in the super chat. That's how I can see your name, so I can give you my shout out. Now we see this. This topic of Ian Smith is trending, especially on X.com. Now, this is a timeline of some of the things that would happen in Zimbabwe. Imagine, almost year by year, 1986, National Railway of Zimbabwe housing scandal. The 1986 National Railway housing scandal, ZANU-PF, that happens in 1986. Now, do we still have a National Railway of Zimbabwe in Zimbabwe? Do we still have trains that are working in Zimbabwe? Do we?
The black community will tell you they live better under Smith than under Mnngagwa.
This dude didn't come out.
1988 Willowgate scandal. ZANU-PF 1989 𝓟P Santana scandal. Wakumana vakupanana ma 𝓟P ma Santana ma defender. This is happening after Willowville motor scandal. Vakutanga do pakatanga madiri yekutenga apa wanga chiri kutengesera nema low prices kapa kuti motikari like mazwano ngono kutengeswa motikari fortune and $5. Something like that is what was happening. Then 1994 war victims compensation scandal. They print money. Wapoma 50,000 wakumana. 95 GMB grain scandal when there was still a functional GMB. 1996 VIP housing scandal. ZANU-PF. Coming from independence, we would see development in new residential areas like Mavuku Tafara, New Kwadzana. Then nothing. We would now see my operation in Murambatsvina. Now we are seeing demolitions. The guys pretending to be blaming each other when they are working with each other. No land is supposed to be sold. only a developed property can be sold. Munhu anofanira kungobhadhara mari yeservicing yearea if the area is unserviced, of which kana iri council, we have the money. What is community development doing? 1998, Boka, banking scandal. Boka is one black guy who would begin his bank, but hey. ZESA, YTI, Soul Trans scandal. 1998, telesale scandal. Joyce Mjuru would see Mjuru involved in telesale after she had given Strive Masiwa a hard time. 1998, Harare City Council refused tender scandal. Just years before, we had received my refuse collection trucks in my donation orange from the nation of Japan. I think it's 1996. In the year 1995-96, here we had a councillor in Zimbabwe. The guy would put tarred roads, repair existing tarred roads in at least 10 streets. We're talking of a councillor in the 1995-1996 time. Matara, he would be sourcing Madonnas outside personally. 99, housing loan scandal. 98, again, Harare City Council refused tender scandal. 99, Noxem scandal. 99, DRC timber and diamond scandals. Wonde DRC ichiti roera mari. Wachiwana ma benefits. Wakomana. Were we part of those benefiting? No. We would actually suffer the consequences of those actions. '99, 𝓟𝓻𝓸𝓹𝓪𝓰𝓪, VIP land grab scandal. I don't know anybody who received land. Me, I haven't received land. I don't know anybody. So what did they do with the land? Remember time here, willing buyer, willing seller. They would be getting this land and developing my residential areas. But right now, these guys are selling stands. They are stealing from the people. So whoever claims any legality is a fool and a liar. The state is the government. Three pillars of the state. We have the judiciary, the executive, and the legislative, parliament, president's office, the judiciary. Military is under pillar of state, even though it's a pillar of state. Military is there to safeguard territorial integrity, the terrain of Zimbabwe, the land, and the nationals, the people of Zimbabwe. That is the role of the army, to protect the people. The army is for the people, to protect the people and the land. The land does not belong to the state. The state is the administration. The state is not the land. So what is Zimbabwe? We have the land of Zimbabwe. But the Zimbabwe nation is like, if I say 𝓼𝓻𝓸𝓹𝓪𝓰𝓪 is not the buildings. 𝓼𝓻𝓸𝓹 is the people. The nation of Zimbabwe is the people of Zimbabwe. And we are a Republican. Republic of Zimbabwe. Republican meaning an individual is recognized as an individual. We don't kill an individual because the majority wants him dead. That is what Republican means. An individual has a right to be an individual in a nation state. Then the terrain, the land. We do not own this land. This land owns us. Dopano masenga ngafana uti son of the soil. We don't own the land owns us. We would come from the soil. Now who do sell that? We can only lease when they are non-Zimbabwean nationals. Maybe who may come here to work here or who are resident here. But we have another nationality. 2008, 2014 airport road scandal. 2001 Harare airport road scandal. 2016 diamond revenue scandal. 18 ZESA scandal. 19 NASA scandal. Every year, total loss recorded there on this one here is 76 billion. So we see now Prophet Wutatunashe. We're seeing him here. I don't know what verse was he using there to partisanize the gospel for his personal interest or for his partisan interest. That is corruption. That is corruption, actually. That is the meaning of corruption. Using a thing for not its use. So we see during the farm mechanization program, he would receive, his wife would receive 18,000, or rather is listed as owing 18,000 United States dollars. Imagine the value of that money back then. Now, when we see this guy saying this, would we argue?
The community will tell you they live better under Smith than under Mnngagwa.
He just didn't come out with no creepy, freaky.
The black community will tell you they live better under Smith than under Mnngagwa.
He just didn't come.
The main problem people had with Ian Smith is when he introduced the qualifications for voting. Fellow Zimbabweans, personally, I don't think everybody should vote. I think for you to vote, you should qualify to vote. You should qualify to vote. People who can be buzzed, people who can be mobilized, people who are savages, who are barbaric, should not be given the power to vote. Now, at that time, we were not yet civilized as a people, not yet educated as we are right now. Right now, at least we have some basic school. I can't say we are educated, we can read and write. We're not educated, our education is poor. At that time, imagine from the onset, if majority rule was there, would we be having things like Kariba Dam? Would we be having the infrastructure, all the infrastructure that we have been using for many years? Now we've just recently built our parliament. We were still using the Roman Catholic building for how many years? Since independence. Fellow Zimbabweans, when the white settler was coming to settle, they would advertise in England, in newspapers, in magazines, right? And if one would be interested in resettling in Rhodesia, they would be given what was called a settler's guide. These guys would be coming to settle without any background of running any business, without any farming background. They would be having that settler's guide. And they will be helping each other in their agricultural projects. I'm not privy to that information. But they would build everything from scratch, following the land reform program. The whites who left Zimbabwe, they left with nothing. Some of them would move to Zambia. Some of them would move to South Africa. They would begin from zero, with zero capital. They would mobilize locals in certain areas, construct the farmhouse, begin tilling the land, begin growing crop and harvesting. And the first salary for their first employees will be coming after the harvest. And we are busy still politicking. We need a revival of our mindset. We need a revolution. The revolution happens in our mind, in the way we think. We should never stop denouncing, exposing nonsense. Expose it with the humiliation it deserves, such that no more nonsense will be happening in Zimbabwe. 1980, £1. 1980, £1. Then we change to the Zim dollar. We change to the Zim dollar. From 1980, it's still 1:1. 10 years later, 1990, it's still 1:1. In 1992, they bring ISAP. But we would hold on. We would hold on from 1992. We would hold on. Then, the major crash that would happen is 14 November 1997, where we see Zimbabwe printing $100 notes. Pakaprintiwa $100 yemuna 1997 ye black ndio pakatanga mawanese. We had the green $5 note. We had the red $10 note, the blue, the $2. We had beautiful monies in Zimbabwe. Vakomana pa vakaprinta ma $50 ingeri greenish yellowish ni $100 ye black. I vividly remember this because I would go with my father to a bank, Zim Bank, before it's ZB. But 10 of people Coca-Cola going on towards the way Yekumbario. He was collecting some money there, he was building. So when that do happen, he had to finish buying all the other materials. And he would finish. Fortunately. All right, thank you to everybody who was watching us live. I'm going to sign out here. Thank you to everybody who was watching us. Experts carpenters says 𝓟𝓻𝓸𝓹𝓪𝓰𝓪𝓷𝓭𝓪. Thank you very much for that. It means a lot because it is you who gives me the morale, and the energy to keep going. No matter what, it is you who keeps me going. Maximo Mavi, Melanie Hobson says Santana had forgotten about them. Imagine, Santana. So we can see that these guys coming from Kuputi, they would be learning their tricks through the years. So, etc. Corruption. We should always speak against and ridicule things that are ridiculous. With all due respect, what Apostle Prophet Wutatunashe is doing there is corruption. A church is being partisan. He is entitled to whatever he is entitled, he say, in his personal capacity, not in a church. A church is a regulated entity. A church is a regulated entity. So it falls under regulation. So when you begin speaking on church or the Bible, the book that the guys do swear on oath on, the Bible that is inspired by our Father who created us, who gave us natural rights, the right to life, the right to breathe oxygen, which we are breathing. Oxygen and water are the same thing. The right to water, the right to be creative, freedom of expression, to create property, to grow crops, to create artistic property, to be carpenters, to create furniture and sell, right to ownership. We can own what we work for. We can own what we create, what we farm, what we labor for, not what we loot. Melanie Hobson, Everson, Eileen Maugara, everybody who was watching us live right about now, remember, drive safely as we approach the new year. You might be a good driver, but the driver near you might be the reckless one. Play it safer. Be safer. Stay positive. And remember, we don't need to have faith. We need to kick out doubt. We need to kick out doubt that has been implanted by those who plant bad ideas in people's minds. When a bad idea, a bad belief voice keeps ringing in your head, when it enters your brain, an idea is a demon. That's why there's a saying that say, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Because evil is spread by preaching it. The devices of Lucifer. With that, I sign out. Dr. Clarence, TV7 Live, Africa. Be well.